Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Goonies World. I am Meanie, also known as Ryan, and joining me, as always, Johnny Farrow, also known as Sean.
Hey.
Mr. Goonie himself, also known as Colin.
What's up?
And Lunicorn, also known as Lynn.
Hello.
And I just wanted to take a really brief moment here and give a shout out to Waspin, who literally joined the Discord like 10 minutes before we were about to record this, and he and I and Lynn were having a nice little chit chat there in the Discord. And I just wanted to bring that up because you could, if you were so inclined, also come join the Discord and have chit chats with us 10 minutes before we sit down to record. You could do that. It would be fun for everybody.
Nice. Hello, Waspin. Welcome.
Yes, I will have to check that out.
Oh, and he also had a message for Raw Dog, but Lynn was supposed to deliver that. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to tell Raw Dog he's a son of a bitch.
Yeah, okay. He is a son of a bitch.
He is a
Not a son of a bitch.
Okay.
A son bitch.
Son bitch.
He's a son bitch. Yeah, he is a son of a bitch. And you have to be a son of a bitch to survive the caves of chaos, which you guys have done. Yeah, in fact, we are playing, in case you haven't figured it out by now, over the last 5 sessions. This will be our last session, our 6th of Basic/Expert, or BX D&D 1981 Red Box that I picked up in Hobby Haven in Independence, Missouri, oh so very, very long ago, in, I won't say happier times, but simpler times.
Certainly simpler, yeah.
Certainly simpler. A time of Pac-Man and parachute pants.
The golden years.
The golden years.
Before Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby went nuts. I mean,
that's right.
True.
That's right. Well, so yeah, we've been playing that for a while, and our heroes, Emmaleth Starstorm, the elf, and Duddley, Raw Dog, Gruff, the sumbitch fighter, and wee little Cosmo Moonfoot, the halfling, traveled to the keep on the Borderlands and gathered information about the caves of chaos from a rogue named Nickel. And they traveled along the edge of the marshes, along the line of the deep forest, and encountered some wicked men who wanted to attack the keep and maybe confuse them and put them off a little bit through magical ventriloquism. They fought some giant spiders and a mad hermit and his pet mountain lion, and finally reached the caves of chaos, defeated a terrible ogre where they entered, and then went through a secret door and tangled with a band of goblins and made their way up higher into the caves, to where they found their larger hobgoblin cousins, including a hobgoblin chief who you slew. And in addition to all the other treasure and stuff you found, in the room where you found all those weapons and armor that some of you took, I did forget to mention there were magically 3 healing potions there, which you guys grabbed. And you will need them because you barely made it through that fight alive. And as if by providence, as if Saint Cuthbert himself put those healing scrolls there for you, there they were. And you may need them because you still have to make your way all the way back to the keep on the Borderlands. Now, you have not at all explored all of the caves of chaos. That's a whole campaign's worth of activity. But you've gone in and you've got almost, but not quite, all the coins and treasure you can carry. In fact, I know that Goonie put together a list of all the coins we had. Now, each of you can carry 1,600 coins worth of weight, and I don't think you're each there yet. But there's not a lot more you can carry, and it's probably time to go. You rescued David, the merchant, whose cousin Fairman had, offered you a reward if you could rescue him. And you also rescued a plump maiden named Daisy. She was plump because the hobgoblins were plumping her up for a feast. And plump man-at-arms named Grover. Man-at-arms basically being a first-level fighter, militiaman, who had been captured. And Grover was so grateful, if you'll recall, he offered to serve you for a year and a day. And he grabbed some chainmail from the hobgoblin horde. And I know you guys grabbed a bunch of stuff. You've got all that. I can't remember if I mentioned when you rescued Vinegar, the crazy gnoll. I believe that I said, and if I didn't say, I'll say it now, that he ran out of there. He ran out of the caves the second you guys let him go. Ran out of the cave entrance and down the hill and across the ravine and into those caves that were down and to the right. You guys went in up and to the left, but he ran away there. David had been hiding outside. You had about an hour. It was like twilight-ish when you left. You really hadn't been in the caves for very long. It was almost like real time, that we played it. And so you figured you'd better get out of there. And as you're leading your friends away down into the ravine, when you're about several hundred yards away from those caves down into the right about at the entrance to the ravine where you're leaving it. I guess it was the entrance when you got here. It's kind of the exit now. You do look back over your shoulders into those caves, and you can see Vinegar standing there, that crazy look on his face. And there are 2 or 3, a small group of orcs standing with him. They're shielding their eyes from the setting sun and looking out, peering out of the cave mouth. Again, they're a couple hundred yards away, and they don't look like they're going to come out. But you never know what will happen after dark. We know the orcs don't like the sunlight. And so you have to figure out how to get back now. It's such a long walk back, says David. My feet are hurting already. All that time I had to hide in that tree waiting for you.
Yeah, well, we don't really have time to soak your feet. We got to get a move on.
Well, I must ride on your back. You're getting a reward from me. You should carry me. Don't be a sumbitch. Carry me. Carry me, you sumbitch.
Well, I guess I'm the only one big and sturdy enough to carry you, but, I'm dropping you second we, come into any kind of danger.
My poor sore feet. Oh, yeah, he climbs up onto your back and, rides you piggyback. Oh, careful of my feet. They were torturing me in there. They were holding up flames to my feet and then tickling my hot, burned feet. Oh. Well, I can carry him if you get too tired, says Grover. Don't forget, I'm here to serve you for a year and a day.
Yeah, you're my servant. You should be kind of doing this now, right? I order you to carry this gentleman on your back. So get off and get on his back.
Well, don't you think you should be carrying me?
Oh, well, I'd happily carry you.
Thanks, Pop.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you get up there and... isn't it nice to see, from my perspective, you're even taller than your old man?
Oh, I can see over people's heads now. It's rather nice.
It's a nice view.
Well, Grover struggles to get David up onto his back. David's probably bigger than Grover. Grover, no, I got it. It's fine. Yep, I got it. Daisy, meanwhile, says, "It will be a long walk. Will we have to camp after dark out here in the darkness?"
Well, I imagine, we did on the way here. Of course, we want to be, I think, conservative with our fire. Maybe we'll have to do without it if those orcs send a hunting party out.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes they do. I was in a traveling party that was attacked at night by orcs. I was sold to the hobgoblins. It was terrible. But I'm not worried because I'll have you to protect us. You're so brave, Raw Dog.
Yeah, that's right. Don't you worry.
Now, I have heard, says Grover, that the elves are very comfortable in the starlight. I heard that early in the dawn of the world, before the sun came out, the elves were born into the starlight. Is that true?
It's quite right, yes.
Perhaps that's why they call you Starstorm. Perhaps you were born under a falling star.
I was, in fact.
Are you that old? Were you born at the dawn of the world?
I was born at the dawn of the world.
Is it true that nothing can kill elves except for death by violence or wasting away from grief? Or are they just very long-lived?
Well, I have seen some that have been with us since the beginning, and some that are just very, very long-lived. Perhaps those that are long-lived have contracted some disease, and that has made them, even though they have lived for 200 years or more, sometimes, but there are those that have been with us since the beginning. Are we all immortal? I don't know. That's one of the great mysteries.
Enough time for philosophy, says David. My feet are still sore, even though I'm being held up by this man-at-arms.
Oh, I think I blacked out there for a minute.
I don't believe the world's only 200 years old. You know, you can't take everything in the Book of St. Cuthbert literally. This world is actually much older than that. It was first created in a notebook in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And sometime in... no. But we better get moving on. And indeed, you've not got that much daylight left at all, so I assume you'll go back, or at least get on your way. Now... do you want to walk down the path that took you here? You'll need to go south, skirting the edge of the woods, and eventually the road will turn back west towards the keep. But if, there is a road that's a path that's pretty easy to follow. If anyone's going to follow you, they might be looking there first. You could turn to your right and go up the slopes of the hill into the deeper woods, if you'd like to move in the deep, deep woods, or if you wanted to take a left and go down a gentle slope, a couple 100 yards away, the woods kind of turn into marshlands and some marshes, and down there are some tall grasses and bald hills. So do you want to travel along the road or within the covering and concealment of the deep woods? Or down in the marshes? Which way do you think would be the safest way to try to head back?
Personally, I'm most comfortable in the woods.
Yeah, but if we go, there's a slight slope or something that way, and then we'll never hear the end of it from these people with the sore feet. But we were told about the marshes. I believe there's some reason to keep away from them.
I've heard there's some lizard men in those marshes, says Grover.
That seems like a pretty good reason to stay away. And the road is where we're likely to obviously be seen. So maybe the woods would be a good compromise.
It may be that the orcs know about the lizard men as well, and so they won't come out into the marshes looking for us. But then we just have to pick between whether we want to try to fight the lizard men or the orcs.
Yeah, and I prefer to fight neither. And look, we got a lot of loot we're carrying here. Let's just, play it safe if we can. Can't believe I'm saying that, but I've never had this much loot.
Yeah, and in terms of the loot, it is a lot. Now, you can still move, but you're somewhat weighed down. I believe that Colin put together off mic. You guys are carrying around 908 silver pieces and 1,011 gold pieces, 525 copper pieces, and 206 electrum pieces. And that's not even including, things like gems and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, big bags. And, of course, Grover's weighed down with Davitt riding on his back. And, Daisy does her best to keep up. But I'll assume that you trudge off the path and go up the slope into the deeper, darker woods. And you continue on there as the night sounds surround you. And the purple twilight turns into the deeper purple of night. And you travel on for some time. And as you're walking, Daisy says, "Raw Dog, I have a question for you.
Ask away, Daisy.
What will you do when you get back to the keep on the Borderlands now that you're rich?"
I don't really think that far ahead, believe it or not. I was thinking, I'm going to drink a lot. I'm going to party. Got a girl on each hand. Arm and leg.
I see.
Yeah, I'm going to be... they said you were a maiden. Is that true?
It's a personal question, but yes, I'm a maiden.
Yeah, well, it's good, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, it's not like I really care.
Since the people who took care of me are dead now at the hands of the hobgoblins, I want to find some way of supporting myself. Perhaps I could be a servant at Lord Robert's keep, or I suppose I could get a job as a tavern girl or some such thing. You sure you're not going to settle down now that you're rich?
Settle down, raw dog. Settle down. Well, I've never really gave it much thought. I mean, it depends on how long this money lasts, you know. I'll settle down until I can't afford, you know, an ale. And then I'll probably get back to these caves one day. Yeah, well, I know what you're thinking, though. You'd like to be Mrs. Dawg, huh?
I must weigh my options, that's all I'm saying, and I am thankful for you. I do owe you. I owe you too, says Grover, and that's why I'll serve you for a year and a day. I hope that your money lasts at least a year and a day.
Well, I hope too. But, you know, in terms of marrying, you know, it might upset little baby Cosmo to see me with another woman. He's starting to think Emmaleth is kind of like his mother, and I'm definitely his father. So,
You're daft, says David, riding on Grover's back. You know he's a halfling. He's not a little boy.
It's his cover story. He's got to survive in this crazy land somehow, and if people know he's a child, you know, they take advantage of him, but not a halfling.
Well, I say you must do whatever makes you the happiest.
See, he's a nice, bright young boy. He's wide-eyed. He's optimistic about life, and you can't have that with an adult halfling. He's got to be a child that thinks like that.
Well, I haven't known too many grumpy halflings. All of them seem rather cheery to me, says David as he rides along. I say, couldn't you walk a little more smoothly, Mr. Grover? Oh, I'm sorry. Perhaps you'd prefer to get up and walk on your burned feet. Let me ask you this, Emmaleth, Golden One. What will you do after all this? Will you be going back to the Elven Isles, or will you stay here in the Borderlands seeking more fame and fortune?
I am quite young. I will continue to adventure before I return home.
I see. Well, and what about you, David? Says, I was rather hoping you were a halfling and not a little boy, because my cousin and I, good tradesman Fairman, have always been interested in getting some deals going with the halflings of the Burrow realms, you know. Get a little trade going back and forth. It's too bad that you're just a little boy. I'd hoped to send you with a message back for them. But, well, I suppose it's nice to be traveling with your father. Those are excellent fake large hairy feet you have, by the way.
Well, they're just, you know, there's these custom shoes I had made.
That's one hell of a cobbler that they have there in the halfling lands. Well, I'm sorry, I guess the orphanage or wherever you come from. Well, you're walking while you're talking, and you've been walking for quite a while when you hear from in the distance behind you the sound of a wolf, a big wolf. Not just any wolf, but Emmaleth especially knows the sound of a warg when she hears it. They're big wolves that sometimes serve the orcs and travel with them. They're excellent trackers, and they have an excellent sense of smell. And you can't help but feel that you're being followed, and they might not be that far behind you. Is there anything you want to do about that right now, friends?
Yes, I shall notify the party. I do believe we are being followed.
Oh, no!
And I sent Warg. Since Warg in the mist, I don't know if the orcs are using them as pets or if it is a warg on its own with some wolven friends. I don't know. I do know we should be prepared for a fight.
All right. Yep, looks like we might have company joining us soon. By the way, I've got, we picked up this wand. All right. I think Emmaleth should have this, because she's pretty good with magic. And, but I have to ask you to point it away from my ass if you're going to wave it.
Yes, of course. Enough has been done to your ass already.
Well, maybe some more will be done later, in a different kind of way, but we'll see. Yeah.
Well, if there's a warg coming, I suppose I ought to. It's a good thing we found these health potions, or scrolls, or whatever it was we found. I've forgotten already, but I suppose I should probably take it and heal myself as much as possible.
Yeah, if each of you guys wants to go ahead and take that, now would be the time. And
Yes.
you can each get your 6 hit points
All
back.
right.
And that's why exactly why I was bringing it up, because I thought it was 6, but I couldn't remember for sure.
Yeah. As we've talked about in previous episodes, I give the maximum award whenever there's a random. D6, it's 6.
And
the D3, it's 3.
if
And,
if it's a scroll, I'm going to give it to the servant and have him cast it on me.
okay. Yeah, and I don't really remember if I specified whether they were scrolls or potions.
You said
but either
potions
way-
first, and then you said scrolls.
Yeah. And in fact, and I had thrown them in there, essentially, just to try to keep our friends alive a little bit longer. But, ultimately, no matter how kind-hearted your game master is, death must come to all someday. Hopefully, that will not be tonight. But you guys get all potioned and scrolled up. There were 2 potions and 1 scroll. Let's say that. And you're able to get at least a little bit beefed up, but you're still not in the full flush of health, I don't believe.
No.
Like, how many hit points do you have, Emmaleth?
12.
Okay, how about you, Raw Dog?
10.
And how about we, Little Cosmo?
Also 12.
Okay, well, that's not too bad.
And I did forget to ask, I have put on this new plate mail, I believe it was.
Yes, you have plate mail armor, and your armor class is now dropped down to 2. And I've already made note of that myself, in case you should be attacked. You are wearing that fine plate mail you found. I know Emmaleth probably grabbed some arrows. There were 11 score arrows there, but obviously you can't grab 11 score. That's like 11 times 20, but we'll assume you have a full quiver,
Yeah, and I still
Yeah.
have some of the +1 arrows as well. I've been keeping track of those.
Well, if we're going to fight, it's going to be difficult with this fat bastard on my back, says Grover. You're the fat bastard. You're the one who's getting plumped up. I'm going to set you down if anything happens. Well, so, do you guys keep walking, or do you try to find a place to hide, or do you keep moving, or what do you do? There are some large boulders nearby. There's a creek you see every now and then. But your hearts sink within you as the sound of the wargs get louder. They're such excellent trackers.
If I can suggest, maybe we should, if this creek up ahead is shallow enough, maybe we ought to walk through that too, so they can't follow our scent.
I think that's a good idea, and I think... And Cosmo will, look around and lower his voice. If we have to, I wouldn't be opposed to cutting that Davit's head off, and just taking it with us and leaving his body behind for the wargs to eat. Might distract them.
It's a good idea.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Hush you!
Did I hear my name?
Yeah, somebody's a little self-centered, thinking about themselves.
Well, you guys walk down to the creek, and it's going to run downhill, obviously, so it's kind of crossing your path in the direction you're walking. Do you want to walk up the creek to your right and go further up the hills to the west, or do you follow the creek down to the left where it will eventually run down and cross the road and then go down to the marshes eventually? If you walk in the creek at all, like you were saying, which way would you want to go?
Well, I don't know. They might expect us to go downstream, but then if we're going upstream, it might be slower going, and so I don't know. Well, I mean, can we, like, see, is there a current, like a pretty strong current, or?
No, it's just really a trickle. You know, there's a type of creek that you go catch crawdads in. You could easily walk on. Worst thing that happened, you slip on a mossy rock, you know. It's not even enough to really wet your ankles.
Okay.
So, but as you guys are talking about it now in the distance, you can hear a gruff shout and some horse laughter from further back, and like now
horse laughter.
Well, horse
I
like
hear
a,
horses laughing.
the orcs have horses. No, but you hear some rough laughter and a shout from the distance, and so however close those orcs are, I mean, you can't see them because it's night and you're in a forest, but
Well,
they're definitely up here, you know, in the area where you are, and not down on the road and heading in your direction.
sounds like they're close. I think we ought to aim for being swift and go downstream. It'll be quicker, I think.
Well, I'm fine with that.
Well, whatever you say, says Grover as he hoists Davitt back up onto his back and heads down into the stream. And Daisy follows you, and you guys head in the stream and splash a little bit, turn to your left, and start going down the hill. And it seems like much too short a time when you can hear up above you on the hill the sound of a body of orcs, a group of orcs. You can't see them at this point, but you can hear them all right. And I assume you'll just keep walking unless you want to go back and spy on them and see what's going on. And we're gonna see about these wargs and just how well it soon becomes apparent to you as the sounds of orcs get closer and closer. There's like a shout of triumph as if they've maybe found your scent, and you can hear them getting closer now. I feel like it's only a matter of time. Do you wish to flat out run at this point and flee, or do you want to stop and set up some defenses, or what would you like to do?
We could set up position in the trees and
Yeah, I
push
guess you
them
could-
from above.
I guess you could do that. Yeah, that's an idea.
Uh,
They're going to get us. They're going to kill us all, said Devin. They're going to kill us. I know they're going to... He's getting kind of loud, too. I know they're going to kill us. I'll get captured again and tortured again.
get a hold of yourself.
Yeah, shut up, says Daisy.
Yeah, let me think. I mean, I don't know if we can all get up in those trees. I don't know about these guys. They
I
can,
can't possibly climb a tree with my sore feet.
Should have cut his head off when we had the chance.
What did you say? What was that again?
well, let's... Is there anything that... Any of those boulders still around?
Yeah, there's this whole forest is, you know, covered with great big gigantic moss-covered glacial boulders. The trees have grown up and around, and sometimes their roots are wrapping around them. And these boulders have been here since long before the trees even. So there's places like that to hide, like deep in the roots and in the boulders, or you could climb up in the trees. There's also some bushes.
Well, ain't much for hiding, but I mean, if they've found our scent, you know, it's only a matter of time. It might be better to be prepared for it.
Cosmo's going to attempt to scamper up a tree as high as he can get.
Okay, there's no problem for him.
I am also going to climb a tree.
Okay. Not as easy for you to scamper in plate mail, but it is fine, light, elven plate mail. Do you guys get in the same tree or different trees?
Different trees.
Okay. All right. You climb up into a walnut tree while Cosmo takes refuge in an oak. And I know I can't climb a tree. I'm going to set you behind this boulder, says Grover.
Yeah, these plumpy ones aren't getting up in a tree either, so we're all going to take cover behind a boulder.
Okay. Well, Daisy comes and squeezes next to you behind the boulder, and David is squeezed in there too, and Grover has to go across and go into. I'll take this other boulder, and he takes a sword he got, and he's armored up. Don't worry, I'll do my part if it comes to fighting, says Grover.
Yeah, I'm worried about these plump ones that can barely fit behind the boulder. Maybe they should pretend to be boulders. Big enough, huh?
Well, just as you're saying that, a bit, the moon comes out from behind a cloud for a bit, and as you peek out from in between the branches of the trees or from behind the boulder, coming down the slopes along the creek, you can see the glowing eyes of 2 wargs. They're pretty big, they're the size of small ponies, really. And there's a body of orcs moving with them. Looks like there's 2 big wargs and only 4 orcs, although they're big and nasty. Now, these are classic 1980s pig-faced orcs, the way they're illustrated in the Monster Manual with their little tusks. They look not unlike the Gamorrean guards, from Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. They're sort of that type of thing with the pig-faced orcs. But there's someone else with them, too. A tall, gangly, mangy gnoll. And, Vinegar must have come with them. And you almost wish now you'd never set him free.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to recognize, or they don't seem to have noticed or that you're hiding. However, when the wargs get pretty close to where you're hiding, they stop. And you can see them sniffing around the bases of the trees, Raw Dog, from where you're hidden. And you guys looking down can see them sniffing around the trees. One of them sniffing around the tree where the halfling is. The other one's sniffing around the tree where the elf is. And you're only about 12 feet away from them, Raw Dog. You're surprised. That's David, by the way, not Daisy. And you can see the orcs, the dwarves are looking around now, sniffing. One of the orcs come down and scratches one of the wargs on the head, says something to him in Orcish, like, "You smell something, boy," And the gnoll himself, who's part dog, being sniffing around, and he's like, bird grain gumption, jelly mellow, smothers legitimate rigmarole." And he starts sneaking over close to where the boulder is, smelling, kind of crawling on all fours. Anyone want to do anything?
Can I would like to quickly take some of what we think is poison and had the skull and crossbones emblem on it. I would like to take some of that and pour it over my sword, if possible.
Yeah, and it's not really the proper way to apply poison to a weapon, but it works in a pinch, right? You're going to give it a shot and see what happens. So you pop the cork on the bottle of what is poison and just pour it all up and down the blade of your two-handed sword. What are you doing, Emmaleth?
I am knocking an arrow and preparing to fire at the warg that's sniffing around the bottom of my tree.
Okay, and how about Cosmo? Any special preparations?
I mean, Cosmo was just going to unleash. He was already knocking an arrow, and he's just going to shoot Vinegar. That's what he wanted to do anyway.
Okay. All right, yeah, and you guys could probably, get surprise on him. You look over behind the boulder where Grover is, and he's giving you, these finger signs like mercenaries must use or something, but you don't know what the hell he's, he's getting ready to move if you do. David keeps whimpering. Daisy's, clutching your forearm so hard their fingernails are digging into it. And sounds to me like Cosmo just shoots an arrow at Vinegar. Is that what you want to do?
That is correct.
Boom, you guys have a surprise round in which you will act and your foes will not. Any missile fire happens right now. Go ahead and roll to hit. Go ahead and roll to hit Vinegar, Cosmo. And his armor class is 7, so you will need an 11.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. You'll need a 10 or greater to hit him, Cosmo.
Yes, well, that will hit.
And the arrow comes out of the tree. It hits him, but does it hurt him? How badly? Let's roll that damage.
Let's see, 4.
Okay. Vinegar cries out with the arrow sticking right out of his eyeball. Now, Vinegar had been tortured as well by the hobgoblins. Vinegar only had 3 hit points left. That arrow buries itself right in his eyeball. And he's, oh, foul mouth, plucky bum pudding, cow patty, moon smile. And he falls and twitches a few times, clutching the arrow, and there's buried in his brain and dies. And
I hate to interrupt, but just a little pull back the curtain for just a second. Did you have like a list of ridiculous, nonsensical phrases written down that you're reading off of? Or what?
I did. I
Okay.
made like a paragraph of. I made a paragraph. 2 nuns watch out for the goody how well. Make a smell, pussy foot, sassafras, how the bird brain goes and jelly mellow, smothers rigmarole, goose and foul mouth, bum pudding, cow patty, moon smile.
Nice.
Yeah. Just in case Vinegar needed to say anything.
Is it weird that that makes complete sense to me?
Yeah.
I understood every single word.
Well, we've been friends a while, so yeah, we have our own sort of secret language.
Nerd can't.
It's nerd can't. We speak nerd can't. Yeah, nerd can't's more like, actually, no, your Thaco would be a +7 if you're on a cloth. That's nerd can't. But Vinegar is down and out, and the orcs are surprised. Meanwhile, we're still in a missile fire phase in this free surprise round. Emmaleth, you had an arrow knocked.
I do.
Who do you fire it at?
I am
You were firing at one of the 2 wargs.
Yep, the one that's at the bottom of my tree.
Okay, and thunk, you send an arrow into the warg. The warg's armor class is also 7, so Emmaleth, you're going to need an 11 to hit him.
Nice.
Sounds like you do.
Yes.
Okay, and for how much damage?
6 points of damage.
Okay, he's a very untough sounding. And there's an arrow buried in his back. He's not completely down yet, but he leaps up into the air and, turns around the way a dog might and rushes back a few feet. The orc that had spoken to him earlier, like even in his panic, kind of isn't enough of a master to go, grabs him and tries to steady him. What are you doing, Raw Dog?
So is there one, like, there was a warg and a kind of creeping up by the boulder or something?
Yeah, he was over by Cosmo's tree, but I mean he's fairly close. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on melee now.
Well, we're in the melee phase. If you chose to melee, yeah.
Yeah, I will surprise and jump out and try to attack the warg.
Okay, and you leap out with your sword and attack the other warg. It sees you and bares its teeth. And go ahead. Its armor class is 11, and in melee, Duddley, you would need an 11 or greater to hit him.
13.
That's going to do it.
Okay.
Roll big damage. 8 is the damage we want to do to wargs.
And with this hasty poisoning of the sword, does that add anything, or is it?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you did it, and I think you should add an extra D6 points of damage this one time. Wasn't properly applied by an assassin or whatever, whatever the rules are, but I think it should be at least worth some bonus damage.
All right. Okay. Well, that will be 9 points of damage total.
Oh, luckily that poison is the extra bit it takes. And you slice a big gash in the side of the warg. It howls out in misery and falls and twitches around for a bit. Goes down to the creek and tries to throw itself in the water, and there it dies. And one of the wargs is dead. And Emmaleth, you think that warg you hit there is almost dead. Now, that was the end of the surprise round. They don't get to act because they were surprised. They know where you're at now, though, more or less. And we're going to go and roll initiative. Emmaleth, we're going to have you roll for your party. I'm going to roll, and I have a 4.
1.
Well, and so you have a 1, and they're going to go first. The orcs rush in. One of the orcs, rushing up to the area of the rocks, attacks Raw Dog. And he's going to need, now that you're in plate mail, he's going to need a 17 to hit you. He's got a curvy sword. It's wavy. And it bounces right off your plate mail. Another one, however, when he gets up to that same area where you're behind the rocks now, he can see Grover. He rushes over to Grover, and he tags him. Rolls an 18 to hit Grover. There's 6 points of damage to Grover, who you may recall had 2 hit points left. And Grover is, I'm sorry, I can't serve you for a year at a day. And poor Grover dies there behind the rock at the point of an orc's curvy sword.
We'll just pass on that debt to somebody else. Next of kin will have to serve me now.
Well, those are the last words Grover hears as he blinks out of existence and goes to the happy hunting grounds with St. Cuthbert for the rest of his days. Daisy screams, of course, but and then there's still 2 more orcs. One of them is looking up into the tree and takes out his crossbow, fires up into the tree. I'm going to give him a penalty due to, I feel like there should be like some cover, with all those branches. And he fires at Emmaleth, but even with all that, rolls a natural 20. I know. And you're in plate mail. He would have had to get a 19 to hit you anyway. Here comes that crossbow bolt. He does 10 points of damage to you. Okay? All right.
Ouch.
10 points of damage. I know you just got the 12. Oh, boy. St. Cuthbert must be looking out for you.
Must be.
Or whatever the Corellian, Lotharian, or whatever the, god of the elves is. Nevertheless, you find yourself with only 2 hit points, and the orc gives a nasty laugh from the bottom. The other one raises his crossbow and fires at Cosmo, but misses wildly as the crossbow bolt is lost in the leaves up over your head. And now it is your turn. Anyone who is using missile fire would now go. Don't forget you also have a wand, which would take place in the spell segment if you chose to use it. But anyone firing any missiles? How about Cosmo? He's pretty quick on the draw.
And of course, he will be firing a missile. But I think he needed a 10. He only rolled a 6, so that is not going to cut it.
No, it's not going to hit him. And how about you, Emmaleth? You going to fire a missile, or are you going to use that wand?
I would like to try out my wand.
Yeah, you don't know what it is. Okay, if there's no other missiles, we'll go into the spell segment now. And actually, there's one more thing I want to do with the missiles, is that Daisy reaches down onto your waist and grabs towards your belt buckle, but then just grabs your dagger and hurls the dagger, throws it at the orc that just shot Emmaleth. Oh, I swear to God, she rolled natural 20. We're going to roll the dagger. Okay, well, 1 times 2. Doubled is 2 points of damage. But at least Daisy's going to fight, Yeah. She's going to do her best. David, meanwhile, is trying to crawl up the boulder, and try to get up on top of it, as if that will somehow help. And now we'll go ahead and get into if you would like to see what that wand even is. Who are you waving at? The orc who shot you, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. You wave the wand. You don't need to do anything with the wand. But he has to save versus wands. And does not. And he's been making that nasty laugh, and then you wave what turns out to be a wand of paralyzation at him, and suddenly he's like, just like rigor mortis just seizes. He didn't literally turn to stone, but every bone in his body just atrophies, and he cannot move. He's frozen and stuck in that position, and he might as well just be out of it.
Awesome.
At this point. Yeah, so there's 3 of these orcs left, and you've already killed one of the wargs, and you've killed Vinegar, the crazy gnoll, and we're down into our melee. Poor Grover can't participate since he's dead, but I know that that you can. Raw Dog, There's still 3 orcs standing. One of them is at the bottom of Cosmo's tree. There's the one that killed Davit. He's a few feet away from you, and then there's the one who's fighting you. So what do? You need an 11 to hit any of them.
I will attack the one that's on me.
All right.
And I got a 15.
All right. That's going to hit.
And that'll be 4 damage.
Okay. He cries out, a guttural cough of pain. And then the orcs will go. That one immediately attacks you. Gets a 15, which would have hit you before you got that fine new suit of plate mail, but it doesn't hit you now. Just a clang of his curvy sword on the plates. The one at the bottom of Cosmo's tree. No, he's not dead, is he?
If he is, I didn't kill him.
Yeah, I didn't think so. On the bottom of Cosmo's tree, he fires up. Now, you know what? He's got to reload his crossbow. And so that's what he's doing. He's reloading his crossbow. And then the one who was on Davit rushes over. This is Doc Die. Rushes over to attack Raw Dog. Rolls a 19. And does 5 points of damage to Raw Dog. And that is their turn. Our friend at the bottom of Cosmo's tree's got his crossbow ready. So you might want to take him out if you can. You don't know how many charges are left in this wand, by the way. They usually have like a certain number of charges. Only one way to find out. It is y'all's turn, and we'll start with missile fire. Cosmo, is that what you're doing again?
But of course,
from your safe perch in the tree where it's wise to be, you fire back down at the fella who's firing up at you.
My first roll went on the floor, and I don't feel like getting up and getting it, so I'm going to just roll again.
Okay.
What's the orcs armor class?
The orcs armor class is actually, I've been telling you guys 11. It's actually should be 1 harder to hit them. Their armor class is 6, so you need a 12 to hit them.
Ooh, well, I rolled a 13, so
all right.
Barely, but it's going to hit.
And in fact, for you, I was looking at somebody else's. Everybody's, is different, and for range, it's 11 that you need, so 13 still hits.
And, well, get good enough, and will be 6 points of damage, which is not enough, I don't think, to kill it, but...
No, it actually is enough to kill him.
Oh,
they've got random numbers. I actually rolled their hit dice, which don't always do, but I did in this adventure, and that one's gone. So there are only 2 orcs that are left now. And will they decide they want to run? I don't know. They can't do anything right now because it's still your turn. And Emmaleth, if you're going to do any missiles fire, you can do that now. If you'd like to use the wand again, we'll move on into our spell segment.
I would like to use the wand again.
Okay. And we'll see. Like I said, there were 2 left. One of them was... they're both now down by Raw Dog. There's the guy who killed Grover and the one fighting Raw Dog. Well, they're both fighting Raw Dog now. Which one do you want to wave it at?
Let's wave it at the one that killed Grover. That was quite rude.
Okay, and we'll assume for wand waving purposes that your intention matters. Just wave it at a group of melee struggling, but we'll assume that the wand knows who. He's got save versus paralyzation, which he does not. Yeah, he does not. He rolls the same thing.
Yay.
In fact, it's like... And before the other one can run away, and you can see he's acting like he's going to turn and run, Raw Dog, but you're right there. He's not going to be able to do anything before you have a chance to attack him.
All right. Where do you think you're going? Oh, what did I need to get? 13?
Well, in melee, for you actually need a 12.
Okay, well, I got a 13.
Yeah. Okay, good. You guys are getting what you barely what you need. Yeah, these guys are armor class of 6 because they're wearing chainmail. And I'll just tell you, this particular one has 6 hit points, so hopefully you can kill him.
It's only 5.
Oh, well, he's hanging on. That gives him a chance now to turn and run away. He's not making a fighting retreat, however. Now, if he's making a fighting retreat, he can get away, but he's not. He's in panic at this point. I'm not even having him roll for morale. Does he want to fight to the death here? Probably not. And he turns to run, and therefore you guys may get your free parting shots on him if you like. And unless everybody just wildly misses, he's probably going to die.
No, I missed, actually.
Oh, God. Well, Cosmo shot him in the ass for 6 points. So.
Okay, well, yeah, you shot him in the ass, and he's dead. Went right up his ass. Right up. Yeah. He slipped in the water. He was going to crawl, and his butt was in the air, and then...
See, that's whose ass you should be shooting.
Well, and then, luckily for you guys, you realize that you've lived through it. Whether there was some divine intervention or not, you may never know. But you seem to have lived through the orcs and their attempt to chase you down. Luckily for you, now do you want to, take some time and say a few words for poor Grover, who at least died fighting, at least he didn't die being eaten in a banquet by hobgoblins.
Yes.
Davitt should have died the forest being eaten by wargs.
I heard that.
Yeah, should
Now
have been you.
who's going to carry me now? I demand that Raw Dog carry me now, said David.
You will walk now.
Oh, actually, I was thinking, if we're not going to cut his head off, he's always bitching about his feet. We'll just cut his feet off and he won't have to complain about them anymore.
Oh.
That's solid logic.
Yes, that's quite
As a matter of fact, my feet.
solution.
As a matter of fact, my feet do feel slightly better. I do think I might be able to walk for a while.
Starting to feel a little bit better now, huh?
Just a little bit, yes, just a little bit. I believe I could walk on for a little while. Well, luckily for you guys, you continue on through the night. You can go back and take the road now, where the traveling is a little easier, and there are no further forays out of the caves of chaos to chase you into the night, and you can move on until you're ready to get some sleep if you like. And I think you might feel safer now in going ahead and making a fire and calming down.
Yeah.
When you guys get a full night's sleep, you each get 3 hit points back. It's supposed to be D3, but...
And, I wanted to open up that cask of brandy.
Oh.
I was waiting for a...
Capital idea, says David, who assumes that he will be drinking it with you.
Yeah, he can have some sips, I guess. But mainly for us heroes, who we made a pretty good team, didn't we? Yeah. Got in there, got ourselves a good heap of treasure, fought off all the baddies, and lived to tell about it.
So far. Haven't got back yet, but I suppose we probably will.
Yes, we did quite well. I'm impressed with us.
I am too. Well, you get a good night's sleep. I assume you take watches, but again, luckily, the giant spiders who are out in the forest are, still licking their wounds from the last time you guys dealt with them, and there's nothing else to worry about in the forest. And you get a good night's sleep. You get your 3 hit points back, and the next day dawns bright and warm. And despite Devitt constantly complaining all the way back to the keep, you end up following up to the curve where the road curves off to the west, and the forest thins out, and now you can see stretching out in front of you all the marshlands to the left now as you turn, skirting the marshlands on one side and the forest on the other. You eventually, by the end of that long day, despite David's constant bitching, you can see the long road runs up the escarpment to the keep on the Borderlands. It sits proud and lonely on its hill. And there you should be able to convert, all your items into gold. And you can remember there was like a money changer there. You should be able to, maybe even open up a line of credit. You're going to be able to find better equipment and a place to stay. And if you want to stay here and continue to explore the Caves of Chaos, the keep under Borderlands is your best base of operations. And you might recall there were some tiny houses that were more like apartments, kind of built in the one wall. Maybe you could buy one of those. But as you get to the base of the road that leads up to the keep, you can see you're not the only ones arriving. There's a cart that's full of hay. It's like a hand cart, though, and it's being pushed. And there are 13 monks. They're all totally covered from head to toe in like burlap robes, and they have great big hoods that are hiding their heads. And some of them are walking a little stiffly, and they're pushing this wagon. It looks pretty heavy for just, being full of hay, but two of them are struggling with the hand cart, and they're pushing along. One of them looks up startled as you guys come up the road behind them, but then they go back to their business, and you guys will pass them as you're heading up because they're moving slower than you. Do you want to stop and talk to them, or you just want to leave these weird monks alone and keep moving?
Cosmo, as we're passing them, I think this is really stupid, but Cosmo really wants to do is as they're passing the cart, go just yell out, "Hey!" and jump in it.
Oh, well. As you're passing, you yell out, "Hey!" and you jump up into the cart, and when you do, you take 1 hit point of damage as you cut your feet on a sword. You see that the whole cart is filled with weapons that have been hidden by the hay.
Man,
and then when you yell, "Hey!"
Sorry, if you had taken more than that and died from that was your last action, that would have been so great.
That would have been pretty goddamn funny.
But then when you say, "Hey," it jumps in, another one says, "Hey," and he turns around and looks at you, and you guys recognize the voice. It's the voice of the fighters who were out in the darkness, who were talking about going to attack the keep. You can see they've disguised themselves as monks to probably try to get in. Luckily, you've caught them before they ever got there. Now, do you think you have what it takes to fight 13 mercenaries, or do you want to run up to the keep and warn them about what's going to happen?
Well, they're not armed, and they're going to have to, push this cart up to the door or to the gate and get or at least grab their arms and be delayed by doing that. So I think Cosmo's just going to fucking bolt.
Yeah, Cosmo bolts.
Yeah, I agree. Run and notify the city.
Okay. You guys go charging up the hill to where you'll recall those blue-clad guards would look down from the gates. They recognize you, though. I mean, they remember you from when you left. And they open the portcullis as you come rushing up, and the mercenaries are milling about in confusion, They're, "The wads blown now," says one of them. And, "What's the trouble down there?" says one of the guards.
"Oh, I'm going to have to change my name to Cosmo Bloodfoot. They've got a cart full of weapons, and I jumped in it thinking it was going to be like an autumn pile of hay. I could just jump in, but they must be planning to attack the keep."
"What?"
Yeah, we met them earlier. They got a whole devious scheme.
Well, how do they have such... They must have an inside man. How do they have information about the keep?
It's that fucking guy that fucking... somebody help me out here. What was that guy's name?
Quarter or dime or something.
Yeah. Penny, nickel. Oh, nickel.
It was nickel. Nickel. We'll need all men on the gates to handle this situation. There's only a dozen of us. I deputize you to go arrest Nickel immediately.
Yeah, it would be our honor.
Happily.
Well, if you guys want to go into the portcullis, remember they've got it set up to where you've got this narrow, winding ways just for defense, and you got to go turn on the left and go all the way down, and finally open out into the tavern where Nickel was. You push your way in, and Nickel just sitting there at the bar drinking his grog. Looks over at you and goes, well, you made it back from the caves of chaos, did you? Wow, carrying a nice big load of treasure. Looks like you did well for yourselves. Did you take my advice and go down and to the right?
No, we did not, sir. And guess what, Nickel? You're
What's
in
that?
a pickle. That was the most badass line I could think of. Not very badass.
Well, it does get a bit of a giggle from the few people in the tavern, and by now there's the sounds of turmoil and melee coming from the area of the gate. And as you move forward towards Nickel, he leaps up onto the bar itself and jumps up on and starts running for the window at the end of the bar. What do you guys do?
I'm going to shoot him in the ass like I did that orc.
Okay, go for it. He's completely unarmored at the moment, so you would need a 9 or higher to hit him.
Well, then that 12 is
Actually, you need an 8. You need an 8 or higher. Yeah.
That's going to be 5 points.
5 points. You hit him in the ass. Ah! He's right at the window, though. He's not dead. He looks like he's going to stagger through it. Do you want to do anything, Emmaleth? I see you.
I also want to do something as well.
Wand of
So I have a-
paralyzation.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. You wave that wand, and he'll save versus paralyzation. And no, rolls the absolute worst thing he can roll. So he becomes completely paralyzed.
With
His
an arrow
forward-
sticking out of his ass.
With an arrow sticking out of his ass. His forward momentum carries him through the window anyway, though. It breaks. He falls to the ground. And you're able to subdue Nickel, who is the inside man. And, do the guards stop at the gate, the melee with the mercenaries? Well, they didn't have their surprise attack. And they would eventually have you to help them anyway. And so we can assume that the attack on the keep was beaten off, as it were, by the guards. And, well, says the barkeep, looks like you've done rather well for yourselves. I imagine Lord Robert himself will want to congratulate you. So I imagine that he'll be calling you to the keep, the castle itself tonight. Don't forget, he's going to want his 15% of everything you took from the Caves of Chaos.
Oh, that might be a problem.
Well,
Well, we really didn't get that much, did we? I mean,
well, that'll be for him to decide. And that will be for us to determine if we ever get back to the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Again, in, 225-ish, I don't know exactly what episode this is, but it's close to that. Episodes, 224. We've never played actual Dungeons and Dragons, and we finally did it. If you ever want us to play it again, jump on our Discord and talk to us. Let us know. Let us know if you want to play anything else. There are lots of ways to get hold of us. Goonie will tell you all about them in a minute. And I believe next time, Ryan is going to be our game master, and we're going to be back with something completely different.
Completely different.
All right. Well, I enjoyed revisiting some past with some old school D&D. And maybe we'll do it again someday. And for now, we will leave you. Good night.
Hey everyone, if you like this podcast, consider leaving us a good rating and/or review, and subscribe to us wherever you can. We've got a YouTube channel and a Discord server, as well as merchandise available at TeePublic. Find our website at GooniesWorldPodcast.com. Email us at GooniesWorldPodcast@gmail.com. You can find all those links and more at linktree/GooniesWorld. Thanks for listening.